My alarm went off at 4 a.m. 2 hours later, I'm in my wetsuit, inching my way towards the water and the starting line. Helicopters were flying overhead. Music was blasting, and the announcers on the loudspeaker screaming, "It's time, it's time. You all have to get in the water, now, now. You're all going to be Ironmen today. Did you hear me? You're going to be an Ironman today." I was going to be an Ironman today? Holy cow. How did I get here? Was I ready? Did I train enough? I started to panic. I couldn't breathe. So I did what any grown man would do. With my feet in the water, I took a really deep breath. And then I peed right there in my wetsuit. I was about to compete in the single toughest endurance event on the planet. You see, an Ironman is a 2.4 open water swim, followed by 112 miles on a bike, finished with a full marathon, 26.2 miles, that not only had to be completed in a day, it had to be completed within 17 hours. How in the world did I get here? You see, it wasn't so long ago. I was your stereotypical couch potato, 75 pounds overweight. I didn't know how to swim. I couldn't run to the end of my driveway. Heck, I didn't even own a bike. This day would forever change my life, not because of the physical accomplishment, but because of what it taught me about myself and about life. It taught me to dream big, to find and follow my definite purpose, to follow my heart, to follow my passion. It started with a seed that was planted 10 years earlier. I was in corporate America, living what I thought was the American dream, going through life like a hamster in a wheel, thinking I had it all figured out, but I didn't. I had the big house, the company car, the expense account. I was cashing the big checks. I had climbed to the top of the corporate ladder without thinking about much else. My family had suffered along the way, but I justified that, telling myself I'm doing it for them. We had moved 5 times in 5 years, ended up living thousands of miles away from any family or friends. What I had given up in search of the brass ring, you can't put a price tag on. I decided that I needed to change. I started to write down some thoughts, some ideas on a piece of paper. Before I knew it, the whole sheet was filled, both front and back. I had dreamed big. I didn't think about what others would think. I didn't think about climbing any corporate ladder. I did it without boundaries. And as I stared at the sheet of paper, I couldn't take my eyes off the very last goal. It was just 3 words, but they seemed crazy, reckless. They seemed impossible. Those 3 words: complete an Ironman. I didn't realize how important or significant that goal would be. Right away, those negative voices that affect some of us started to attack. And you can't do that. You're fat. You don't know how to swim. You can't bike. You can't run. You can't. Well, it was true. I didn't know how I was going to accomplish this goal. And I thought about scratching it off my sheet of paper. But for some reason, I left it there. And thank God I did. 2,700 athletes would be inching their way towards the water with me that morning. The race would record the worst weather in Ironman history, record cold temperatures, and rain from start to finish. Close to 1,000 athletes wouldn't make it to the finish line. A good friend of mine at the start gave me some great advice. She said, "Peter, just like life, it's going to get hard out there. You might even want to quit. But just keep moving forward. And trust me, it's going to pass. It's going to get a little easier. Well, sure enough, the race got really hard. And I thought about quitting. But all I did was put one foot in front of the other. And sure enough, she was right. It did get a little easier and it did pass. And as I was running the final miles of that marathon, I was cold, tired, hurting. But I started to hear the rain-soaked crowd at the finish line. And they were screaming and cheering. And as I took the final corner, all of a sudden there were my daughters, Hannah and Sarah. And I ran up to them and I grabbed each by their hands, one on one side and one on the other. And I looked at them and I told them that I loved them. I told them I appreciated them. And we started to run the last 50 yards to the finish line together with our hands raised. And although the sound from the crowd was deafening, I only heard one thing. And that was my two little girls and them saying, "Daddy, I love you." The race would turn out, the Ironman would turn out to be much more than just a race. It would be a symbol to dream big no matter what. That each and every one of us has infinite potential inside. And that if you have a dream, the answer is always yes, you can. It taught me that a big dream is not planted inside of us unless we already have the capacity to achieve it. So dream big. Always dream big. Thank you and God bless.